welcome to this CGTN live stream. I'm reporter Huang Fei, and we are live from the China International Consumer Products Expo here in Haikou. More than 4,000 global brands are on display, tapping into the world's fastest growing and largest market for premium and consumer products, premium and luxury products. And we want to find out how global brands are navigating China's consumption trends and what's really impacting their decisions to invest in this dynamic market. And for more insights, I'm really excited to talk to our panelists. So we have Mr. Guillaume Soch, Coty Senior Vice President of Global Travel Retail. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
And we have Mr. Hutch Hutchison, Head of Design for Expo UK.
Nice to meet
Thank you. And we also have Lydia Chen, Deloitte China Partner. Welcome to you all. I think both of you, actually Lydia and Mr. Shons have been here several times before, but Hutch, this is your first time here at this expo. First of all, some overall impressions so far. You came here yesterday. What's it like so far?
Bigger than I expected and busier than I expected. It's been amazing, actually. I have been to quite a few trade shows over the years, and this is probably the most interaction I've had with really hot leads. You know, I'm actually seeing people who really want to do business rather than just come along and look at the goods for fun. So, yeah, it's been great.
I see. And yesterday we had a little bit of talk about why you're here. Let's get. We're going to get a little bit more into that later. But Mr. Shosh, you've been here how many times now?
It's my second time.
Second time.
It's the third time the company is participating, and it's my second time here. And I must say that it's even more impressive than last year. It's great to see that there are more and more people attending and indeed interacting with the brands.
I see, and Lydia has also been here
the first time.
The first time,
yeah.
I see.
But I've been visited the CIIE before. Just compare these two exhibitions. I think it's with so comprehensive goods from different foreign countries. The sentiment is quite good.
So I wanted to ask both of your first timers, why are you here?
After you.
Lydia.
Curious about the overall sentiment of Chinese consumers and also the merchants, the retailers from all over the world.
Yes, and Hutch, why are you here? Why is Hainan an interesting point of entry to China?
Well, there's a couple of relevant things. I mean, first of all, there's the whole free trade hub and the sort of opening of trade, which is obviously important to us. This is our first time entering the country. And secondly is, you know, that this is a place that's attracting high net worth individuals, and we're a luxury product. So talking to the masses is what we need. We need to be talking to the people who actually are an addressable public, and that's what Hainan does represent, is not only a sort of luxury holiday destination, but also the bubbling free trade that's bubbling up here is just great for us.
And I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your products later. I also want to ask Mr. Soch, you've been here the second time. What kind of conversations are you hoping to have this time?
I think for us, first, it's very important to be attending these big fairs. You know, I think Hainan Expo today is really one of the most important events in China, like CIIE. So we already attended CIIE 4 times, Hainan Expo 3 times, for us, this year it's a very special year because it's our 120th year's anniversary. And so we wanted really to show our commitment to stay for a long time and to grow for a long time in China. And again, as Hutch was saying, next year is a major milestone for the island. And we are all curious to know what is the status, what will happen. So we all want to discuss with the authorities, I think, about what is the next step for Hainan and the free trade zone.
And Lydia, you just had a very important paper that you just released this morning. We'll go into more details of the paper later, but can you give us a quick preview of what that report looked at?
This report is published annually, targeted at retailers and consumer products companies. Actually, we studied around 600 listed companies in Asia, and American stock exchanges to compare the financial performances of the leading companies covering like 21 subsectors. then we try our best to identify the trends and the key drivers for the whole industry growth.
I see. And is this something that you're interested in watching as well? I mean, there are so many themed activities, industry releases, new product launches. You were talking about interactions on the ground. Are you also kind of watching what others are doing to try to gauge where the industry is going, Mr. Sosh?
Yes, of course. It's the particularity also of this expo is that it's very open. So each group is trying to display the best they can do. So it's also interesting first to show what you want to show and to see what competition is doing, and not also in other sectors.
Did you had an opportunity to talk to officials yesterday? I know that you guys had an opening ceremony here, and some officials came.
Yes.
Were there some interesting interactions?
Very, very interesting. I mean, the regions that are showing up here in Hainan from all over China, the regional bodies of trade, which of course we do need to get to know and to understand how we move and expand into Greater China from here, is it's been phenomenal. My first response to you was true. The footfall we've had of really important people we need to talk to has been superb. Actually, also, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
What findings did you bring out from the studies which you were doing?
Yeah, I think we will get into details later. But the key findings is the overall sentiment is on the track of recovery, but the performance of different various subsectors are quite different due to the different strategies taken by the companies.
Interesting reading.
Yeah. And I wanted to get into that later as well. And yesterday I saw some members of the delegation come into your area of display and picking up your product. What did they ask about? Do you remember?
I think that there's quite a lot of interest in both aspects of it. That there's a very serious side to our products, and also a very, I would say, lifestyle side. And it's interesting to see which one they go for, because you fall in love with your heart first, and then you kind of rationalise it with your head afterwards. So you've got to take them on that journey. But I think we navigated that. So yeah. First of all, pretty thing, and then useful thing.
Yes, and I wanted to ask what sort of, I know that you probably don't like to use the words profiles or targets, but I wanted to understand who you're trying to attract here in China. Maybe let's start with Mr. Sosh. Do you have a sort of well, I have to use the word target, demographic in China for your products here?
I think our company is a beauty powerhouse, but we are mainly leader in fragrances. We have many brands going from Adidas, Burberry, Gucci, Calvin Klein, so covering a big pyramid of customers. And I think this is the advantage, is that today we can target with our different brands every different level of customer. Today is very interesting in China because the market is evolving extremely fast. According to the city, the region, you have to be able to offer different products to the customers, and I think this is what we can do today with our catalog. And we know that China 5 years ago was just emerging in terms of fragrances, with basically floral juices, very light. People didn't want to disturb, and in the past 5 years, it's become one of the most savvy markets in terms of fragrances. The young generation, they know everything. They want to go for oud, they want to go for citrus, they want to go for very sophisticated fragrances. So what is interesting today is to see all these levels of customers and to be able to answer to all these levels.
Sophistication, that's really interesting. Is this something that you found in your research? I mean, you studied many different segments of consumption, and if we take cosmetics as an example, what findings have you got in that area?
The cosmetics sectors increased quite well last year. I think it achieved high double-digit growth in 2023 compared with the same period previous year, even exceeded the level of 2019 pre-pandemic level.
I see. And because, you know, in the start of the year, we hear a lot of data coming out from the Ministry of Commerce officials repeatedly quoting record travel numbers and interpreting them as, you know, a sign of consumer resilience and potential for more consumption growth. But I guess more critical look at the official data suggests that people are spending slightly less than before the pandemic, but that seems to be changing, especially in the last week. You know, we heard that China's holiday spending exceeded pre-pandemic levels for the first time during the Qingming Festival just this past week. So that kind of pickup in travel, that bodes well for travel retailers and for your business as well, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, first of all, I would agree totally with what you said about an increase of sophistication. I mean, as much as I'm new to China with the brands I have now, I've been here before, and the level of sophistication in the consumer that we are seeing, you know, the appreciation of the real detail, the stuff you were talking about. Yes, that's coming across. People are asking questions that really cut to the core of what we do. You know, they're interested in the authenticity and the details.
And you've got a very sophisticated product for the very sophisticated.
That's very nice of you to say so.
Yeah, for people, in your words, who won't settle for lesser things. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, you know.
Well, you talked about the ugly word, sort of target or demographic, but I like to think of them as life's winners. So you're talking about people who've worked really hard and they're proud of it. I mean, the good news is that people are not afraid to say, look at me, I've made it. And that's a great thing when you're selling a luxury product, because luxury has, as I said, this very, very sort of emotional side which you're going to buy into, but then you have to back that up with true substance. And that true substance is what I was alluding to when I said that, you know, the level of connoisseurship, I suppose, has just gone so fast. I mean, it's like the whole of Hainan. I walk along the street, electric cars and scooters everywhere. Clean air, like seriously clean air. We have a clean air monitor thing on our product, and I've never known such clean atmosphere. It's really, really like a future vision. It's good.
And a little bit more background for viewers who are not familiar with your product. You are the only luxury phone maker in the UK.
Yes, we are. In fact, we're the only phone maker in the UK, but yes, we choose to address the luxury market. Although we do bring the materials from all around the world. You know, where we find the finest leathers or the finest golds, sapphire, we bring it all together and build it in our UK workshop. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a team of people working on the phone, no production line.
One person, one phone. Yeah, that's the rule. You pick it up and you build the whole thing. Like, I mean, I learnt my trade studying the Swiss watch industry. That's how you build a quality watch. That's how you build a quality phone.
Yes, I see. And we were talking about travel retail earlier, and you know, holiday spending, you know, bodes well for both of your businesses. And for Mr. Soch, have you seen this record travel numbers actually translate to increase in sales?
I would say that you have to approach China and the Chinese customers all together as an ecosystem. So for us, we look at it in three ways: domestic market, Hainan, and travel retail. So if you look at the domestic market, it's still recovering following the pandemic, quite fast in the past months. And it's very important because this is really the foundation of everything. When you want to work with the Chinese customers, wherever you touch them, you need to be solid in China. Hainan, it's very interesting because it's a flagship. If you go to Xinhagang, if you go to Haitang Bay, you will see probably one of the most beautiful stores in the world for each brand. So talking about customer sophistication experience, even customers who see a brand for the first time, they will get to the top level. So we just opened, for instance, from stores with Burberry, Gucci, Chloé. It's the most beautiful stores in the world are there, and a few others in mainland China. And then in travel retail, so travel retail overall is doing quite well, and we can see the Chinese travelers coming back now. So not as many as before, but because the tickets are still quite expensive. So what we see is that the travelers who are traveling now are the ones who are the wealthiest. So of course they spend more. Then the volumes are not of Chinese travelers are still below what they were behind the pandemic. But overall, I think the situation is we can see a regular increase, and we are quite optimistic about the future for the three clusters.
That sounds great. And Lydia, what kind of drivers are you seeing in the, for instance, the cosmetics and the luxury goods segment? Yeah.
I think there are quite a few major factors to drive the growth of these two segments. The first one is overall the disposable income of China still increased. I remember the number, the figure is like 6.1% in 2023. Secondly, I think with the improvement of the women status in the workplace, in the social areas, so they pursue high quality products and services that can enhance their sense of achievement and happiness. So I think
are women bigger spenders than men, do you think?
Yeah,
really?
For sure.
Traditionally, in luxury, that's a no-brainer. I mean, there's so many things in luxury to buy. And men, what do we got? We got our shoes, our watch, our car. Oh, I run out, you know?
That's why you've got male jewelry.
Money lays in the hands of the ladies.
Yes.
So to have that view expressed openly in the shops is good news for anyone in the luxury business.
Yes, so women are the big spenders.
Are the major spenders.
And also
she economy. We call it she economy.
Mm-hmm.
I see. What are the other drivers have you found in major segments of the premium? I mean, in the premiums consumption sector.
You mean segments?
Yes.
Anything that can provide like the sense of happiness,
right.
I think. And I think the digital environment, digital ecosystem in China also help to boost the sales of all these segments. You know, there are many content-based or interest-based online platforms like Little Red Book, things like that. Platform, the opinion leaders, they can share their user experience on the platform so they can bring other consumers' attentions.
That is true. I mean, I do go on the Little Red Book a lot.
And the users for live streaming
Yes.
increased very rapidly in the past 2 years during the pandemic especially.
And do you use KOL in your marketing efforts?
But yes, of course. I would say that again, this is one of the fields where China has been leading the trends for the rest of the world. Very early, we saw this strong emergence of data, of digital, customers expressing themselves with big communities, lots of followers. And today it's a must. You need to be standing for something with this online. This is what people make their opinion. And then they have the opportunity to go to the stores that are also the most beautiful stores in the world. So it's working together.
Yeah, and in terms of key opinion influencers and finding out what consumers want, I'm also noticing this trend towards sustainability and this focus on the Gen Z consumers. I was at Coach yesterday and they were talking about how they've got this whole product line that's completely traceable, and that's important for the Gen Z demographic, and they believe that's a big future driver as well. Are you seeing
The same trend.
The similar
trend. The younger generation of consumers, they buy in the concept of green and sustainability. That's very evident trend.
Yes. However, I guess Gen Zs are a little too young for your products. I mean,
don't underestimate the spending power of Gen Z. But yes, I would say our demographic is probably a little older. But to the key opinion, I mean, the world of getting your name out there as a brand has changed entirely. Gone are the days of just hitting the big name publications with a nice big colourful ad. Oh no. You've got to have the right people saying the right things online. Otherwise, you're not going to connect with your public. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone under the age of 20 with a magazine in their hand. it's on a screen.
Yes. Yes, and you've been designing phones since the 90s.
Yeah, don't remind me. It's been a lifetime.
And so I guess, you know, you're more, you specialize in the design aspect of things, but in terms of the selling part of it, where do you actually see your products in China, for instance? You were talking about maybe next to a watch. You know, how do you see it being distributed, accessing the market?
Yeah. First step really is probably in watches and jewellery retail. That's the kind of place where it's a feel-good thing. I mean, the bounce back, the post-COVID bounce back, and the re-emergence of people feeling good about life and that's what dragged you don't buy luxury when you're feeling bad about life. You buy it when you're feeling good. So where do people go? They get a nice bonus, they're feeling good, it's their birthday, they go to the watch and jewellery store, and that's where we want to be, exactly that environment.
Yeah, I think the market is becoming polarized. On the one end, it's like luxury goods that can feel feeling better and better. The other end is like extremely cost-effective products.
I see. And Mr. Soch, how do you think Hainan being set up as a free trade port can actually help businesses like yourself maximize its potential here?
First, I would like to come back to your previous question about sustainability.
Yes.
Also, something that strikes me is that it's true that 3-4 years ago, sustainability was mainly a topic for the government. Now, it's a topic that is becoming really central for the customers. And starting with the Gen Z, but it's really, if there is a difference, it's more sustainable, customers will choose the product which is more sustainable. So for instance, we have a platform which is Beauty That Lasts, and we are communicating it on the pavilion. We have ethanol, you know, for fragrances. The main ingredient is alcohol. And we have alcohol that is captured from the iron or the steel factories. And some of the products, for instance, in Gucci fragrances, are entirely with captured ethanol. So that's it's something we have to say to the customers, and it's very interesting to them. For instance, if they have to choose, they prefer to do this way. So this is a way also, I think, when you're asking me what do we expect from Hainan. From Hainan, it's really a way, as I was saying, to showcase the best of your brands to many people who sometimes don't have the brands present yet in their cities. So it's a way to give them the best experience, the first and best experience. So there is no second opportunity to make a first good impression. I think that's the part of the role of Hainan.
I see, and this is an interesting place for you as well, Hutch, to make your first impression on your products so far.
Yes.
You've been talking to a lot of potential customers. And
it's that sort of I would say buoyant feeling that comes with increasing trade and travel. You know, the fact that people, when they travel, you look through any airport, the shops that are present in an airport represent the kind of spending that goes on in an airport. So you travel, you're feeling good. You're going to indulge yourself, and that's good for us. So here you mix travel with trade, and you've got a very rich environment.
Yes, and in addition to travels, there's I guess another area of potential is this whole idea of upgrades. I mean, I just came from an event this morning by the Ministry of Commerce. They were introducing this old for new trade-in policies that China is really pushing for that. This covers home appliances and cars and more larger scale industry devices, but mostly home appliances. I wonder, Lydia, what kind of potential do you see in this push for upgrades?
On my understanding and observation, I think consumers buying this policy, we say trade-in or old for new. Since the last round of the policy stimulus, I remember like 15 years ago, so far the inventory of the major categories of the home appliances like white goods, refrigerators, air conditioners have exceeded like 3 billion units. So I think they're embed great potential to be upgraded for consumers.
Yes.
Yeah, China's been pushing this agenda within the mobile phone industry for longer than people realise.
Smart devices.
Not just that, every charger, you've got a USB lead, you have to plug it in.
Oh, yeah.
That's now a global phenomenon. The only reason why that happens is because China pushed it through legislation, and it's such a big market that everyone else followed. And now, the standardization of USB-C. Now, guess who drove everyone to use the same standard? China again. So there's always been a background here. I mean, much as people weren't really aware of China pushing this agenda around reuse or sustainability of electronic goods.
Exactly, and this push for new trade-in is also, I guess, the government's effort to really steer consumption towards greener and smarter products, right? So
Yep.
swapping your older, outdated ACs to a smarter, more energy-efficient, eco-friendly model.
And people taking responsibility for the whole product life cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, the days of the major manufacturers sticking phones together, literally sticking them together so they're inseparable, it's gone. You've got to take them apart. I mean, works for us because we put them all together in tiny little screws, so we can take them apart. But I mean, that kind of stuff is really is changing my industry.
Yeah, because when this trade-in policy came out, there were, more skeptical voices saying that, okay, this is an interesting idea, but are people really willing to spend money on things that still work? Why would they throw out their AC that's still working and swap it for something new? So that's, I guess, the sustainability factor is interesting because if you have a more eco-friendly, greener product, it actually saves electricity and saves on your energy bills.
It's always a difficult one, that, because you've got a huge carbon footprint in making the new thing.
True.
Like, it's all very well getting rid of your old car, buying a lovely new green car, but a whole load of CO2 went into making that new car. So you have to be careful here about, if it's still working, I say use it. I love things. I think the thing is that things that last for a long time, things that are built to last, something that the world forgot about. I think that's what's good. And that goes back all the way back to that authenticity, that connoisseurship is what people are looking for. Is that, that I'm seeing right in front of us here, handmade shoes. Those shoes will last 10, 20 years. You should invest in that, not a pair you're going to throw away in 6 months.
Lydia, are you also seeing this trend, this preference for things that last much longer, higher quality, instead of mass-produced, cheaper alternatives? People would spend more on those products.
Yeah, I think especially younger consumers, they prefer to spending more for premium quality, which means last longer and make them look very unique. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we were talking about what Hainan can do to help. I mean, this event is obviously a great platform for companies like yourselves to access the Chinese market and yourselves also to expand your presence here. If you could have a wish list for the Hainan government, for officials here that can help you make your life easier here, to make things easier for you to scale up, what would that be?
Well, I think what we see is that there is already a very strong direction to opening the level of openness of the Chinese and the Hainan economy. The direction is coming from the top government, and what we hope is that this is spread out to all the authorities at all levels. And I'm quite confident about this because every time you talk to people from the authorities in China, they all want to help you to do more business in their district, in their city, in their province. So what I hope is that this is going to last, and that with the new free trade zone, we'll have clear direction so that we know how to really prepare and be ready for the next step.
And Hutch, what about you?
I would agree totally that Hainan is in the vanguard of exactly the way we want it to be going. I mean, it has been very, very difficult to get through levels of bureaucracy and paperwork and everything to address the huge market that there is here. So it's opening up. So it's not that Hainan needs to change. I think the rest of China needs to look to Hainan and say, this is a great model, let's follow.
And I think from your product, your point of view, it's really interesting as well because you've got a technical product. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday. I mean, in recent years, countries tend to be quite territorial when it comes to their technology. But what's the experience like trying to introduce a technical product into China?
Difficult.
Okay.
For good reason. I mean, the telecom authorities here do a very, very good job of making sure that a product running on China's networks doesn't cause problems. And that's a good thing because everyone wants their phones to work. But there are levels of, if you don't use the right sentence structure or you haven't got the little stamp in the right place, that needs to go away because that's not adding real value. I mean, I don't mind us doing things right, but that would be the last remaining barriers, I think. It would also be really nice if people were accepting payment on a personal level. Like as a foreigner coming, it's really difficult to buy anything here.
Without WeChat Pay, yes.
Yes. Yeah. And you can't put a non-Chinese card behind your WeChat or Alipay, so you're stuck. How do?
Yes. Hainan officials, Chinese Ministry of Commerce officials, take note.
Yes. It's a very personal plea, but it's really inconvenient not being able to buy a cup of coffee.
Make it easier for foreigners, foreign visitors, international business persons to pay for stuff here.
Yeah.
And Lydia, you've had a lot of conversations, I'm sure, with executives and participants of this expo. What are some of their main questions about entering China, or in your previous interactions with multinational company executives? What are the pain points, let's say, in entering China?
The pain points, I think just like individual consumers, I think foreign investors or executives are still recovering from the hurt or suffer from the scar effect during the pandemic. So they need to rebuild their confidence in Chinese market. And other pain points is like the limits still exist in cross-border flow, just like you mentioned, cross-border flow like personnel, capital, and the data. But I think the overall environment is improving.
I see. So I was going to say, there's plenty of reports in the last few months, perhaps last year as well, on the fact that there's a lack of confidence in investing in China. But I wanted to, obviously get your sense in that. What's your confidence level in continuing to invest and commit to China?
I see, as I was saying at the beginning, it's our 120th anniversary. We are here for the third time, and for us it's very important because it's a symbol of the long-term relationship we want to have with China. So my level of confidence is quite high. Then what is a bit changing compared to the past is you used to come from a huge growth with a lower cost of doing business. Now the growth is pacing a little bit down, and with the complexity, all the new malls, the new platforms on e-commerce, the cost of doing business remains quite high. Even the people cost is quite high. So we need to find a new model that enables to build a business in a sustainable way in China, with a growth that is still very fast, but not as fast as the double-digit numbers we had in the past.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about confidence as well, Hutch. And obviously you're entering China for the first time. Obviously you have hope and faith in this market, especially for your product.
I can have nothing else. This is the biggest luxury market in the world. Of course I have confidence in it. It's there. It's a real thing. So yeah, it's a matter of buckling down and doing business. And yes, the world changes around us and it's difficult to navigate sometimes. I mean, I'm of an age where key opinion influencers are kind of, what's that? But I'm learning, my job is to design the most desirable product and keep it authentic, and I think that again is winning out. And I'm really pleased that is something which I think I'm going to go back to it again. The level of discernment in China has gone through the roof, and the connoisseurship will pay out for luxury brands, I'm sure. So I have extreme confidence.
I mean, it's incredible that your most exclusive model is almost 400,000 yuan for a phone. and you think there's a China not only has the purchasing power but also the appetite for something like that.
A Maybach Mercedes drove past me on the way in here. Ask him. I mean, that's one of the most exclusive cars in the world. There's a stand opposite Bentley and Lamborghini. Yes, there's purchasing power here. Yeah.
Yes, and Lydia, I guess some final thoughts. Do you think, is 2024 going to be a rosy picture for most consumption retail segments? If not, what main challenges should we look out for?
Cannot use rosy picture, but we always see rising opportunities in uncertainties, right? As I mentioned, the Xi economy will bring more high quality demands for products and services. And we also pay attention to the silver economy. I mean, the services around to service the senior people, because China is entering a very deep aging society, right? And also single economy, because the Chinese family is becoming smaller and smaller, so they will bring many demands for instant products or the services, etc. So we always see opportunities in challenges, I think.
That Xi economy thing is huge.
Thank you.
Huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And many interesting insights today, but I think goods and services consumption is obviously an important driver for China's effort to meet its annual GDP growth. But of course, at the same time, China's consumption trend is a motivator for global product innovation and also a stabilizing force, I guess, for the global economy. So, that's all very positive, and I think thank you very much for your insights and your commitment to this dynamic market, and thank you for your research on this very important topic. And thank you all for tuning in to our CGTN live roundtable discussion. We'll be back for more, and please stay tuned to our Hainan Expo coverage. Bye for now.